Hello everyone and welcome to my Rosinante guide. I've been wanting to do this video for a while now, ever since Rosinante became my favorite leader after a few months back, so I'm really excited to share all the knowledge that I've accumulated with you guys. So these are the sections that this video will contain. First, we will be talking about our leader ability, how we use it effectively, and what cards synergize well with it. Then we will talk about all the different ways that we can build around this leader and all the packages that we can use. Then we will be taking a dive into my deck profile for OPO9 and a quick card by card explanation. Because after that, I will take you guys through a matchup guide. We will have a matchup tier list and we will also go through the important matchups one by one and which cards are important for those matchups. And for the end of the video, we will shortly be talking about the future of the deck and all the exciting support that's upcoming in OPO10, EBO2, and even OP11. So there will be no gameplay in this video, this is just gonna be theory, but I will hopefully make a ranked gameplay video shortly after this one. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, thank you very much, and let's get into the first section of the video and let's talk about Rosinante's leader ability. Rosinante is the only blocker leader in the game, and his ability allows him to restand if you have 6 cards or less in your hand. So this ability allows us to protect our board and maintain tempo advantage. The card that allows us to use this ability to the fullest is 8 cost Kid. He's your most important win condition in most matchups. It allows you to use your leader ability aggressively so that you can gain both card advantage and strong board presence. Usually you can drop down to 1 or 2 life and then slap down your kid and protect him to win the game. The second best card in the deck is Sugar. This card is basically made for this deck. It synergizes with our leader ability perfectly and we gain enormous value from it. So these are the two cards that we are always building our deck around, and from that we kind of enter the current nature of the deck, which is we lose to heavy removal decks that don't allow us to use our leader ability, and they can also remove Kid and Sugar from the board effectively. And on the other hand, we win against decks that don't play much removal, and we can effectively use our leader ability, and we can stick Sugar and Kid on the board. But we are going to talk about that more in the matchup guide. Now let's talk about different ways that we can build this deck. First and foremost, we have the Don Quixote package. This includes Baby 5, which makes Sugar and Tuco's Rosinante blocker searchable, amongst other things. It's currently the most consistent build, I believe, but this might change in OPO10. Then we have the Warlord package, so not only can you play the blue Jinbei Warlords, you can also play the green Warlords. Sengoku can search your 3-cost Mihawk, that costs Tofi, and so on. So it's a pretty fun package because you can cheat out 2 characters on your 3-down turn with Mihawk, protect the rested character with leader ability, and then cheat 2 more on 5-down with Jinbei. Next we have the Ivankov package. This is a niche package that has a lot of value. It has been popularized recently in Marco, but we can also use it effectively here. It includes more 2-cost characters like Dual or Killer Blocker and 2-cost Pudding, 2k counter. It can also cheat out Sugar and 2-cost Rosinante blocker. And Ivankov draws us cards, so it's a pretty solid package for this deck. These next packages are lacking, but we can go through them quickly. Sanji, there's just not enough synergy and power at the moment, but it is pretty cool to play out Sanji plus 8-cost Kid. Supernovas are solid but hard to fit in or to build around. They do make our kids searchable, so that's nice. And we have the Navy package, which has a lot of future potential because our leader is Navy type, which is something that a lot of people forget, even myself. And there's some upcoming Navy support in OP10, which I'm really excited to test soon here on the channel. And we have some honorable tech options that are not a part of these packages. There's a lot of them, but few I always keep an eye on are 8-cost Rosinante and 5-cost Luffy against removal decks, Krieg and Gravity Blade against aggro decks like Dofi and Zoro, and generic blue cards like Jozu and our Pot of Greed that enables us to draw 2 cards. Okay, so let's go into my deck profile for OP09. I'm gonna go through it card by card and explain my choices, but the deck slots are still pretty flexible. There's a lot of good cards that you can play, and there's a lot of tech options that you can play. This is what I opted for. I'm playing the Don Quixote package with my 8 Cascade and Sugar. So, my Sugar is searchable. I have searchable 2Ks. Playing Tenko's Dolphy. It's not that good together with Kid. I can't wait to replace it in OP10, but until then, we're playing two of these. Playing more kind of breaks your hand. You don't really play them down often. 2 cost Rosinante, one of the best cards in the deck, really good to play down with 8 cost Kid. Protects it from Rygo and black removal and red removal. Baby 5, we can protect it with Leader so we can search multiple times. Monet is a nice deck that I like to play. It's good into aggro decks like Zoro, Belloberry, and Dofi. It's also really good into Black Teach actually, because you can rest his 2 cost character, I forgot his name, but the one that KOs. 4 carrots, this is pretty important at the moment, I think. I think it's one of the best cards in the deck. It's really good. It has huge value, when you play down, when you freeze multiple targets in a row. You can protect it with your leader, so you can always kind of um, use it efficiently multiple turns in a row. And it's really good against cards that you don't want to KO that have like on KO and effects. So yeah, really nice in the deck at the moment and in the future probably as well. 5 goes Zophie, searchable blocker. Really nice because it restands with your leader. I'm not sure if we're gonna play it in the future since we might not be playing the Don Quixote package as much, but for now with the Don Quixote package it's really nice, feels really good. It can help you protect your sugar, and baby 5, the small bodies. It's really nice. Next up we have 9 cost Shanks. Synergizes really well with 8 cost Kid. Because it costs 9 Dawn, you can leave 1 Dawn and put it under Kid, so it's really nice to play out when you already have 8 cost Kid on the board. Board also works really well with Sugar. Synergize as well. If you have Sugar on board, you can rest big units and then KO them with Shanks next turn. Trico's Dolphy. This is our kind of secondary searcher. It searches our 8 cost Kid. It can basically search all our unsearchable cards like Pudding, like Gravity Blade, Red Rock. It's really nice. It's really important in this list as well. You can play down off of 8 cost Kid. And it really improves consistency of the deck. Right now it's really essential, but maybe later in the future we won't need it as much, but I think it's always really nice. Gion is just a tech 2k. I don't like the Nami matchup at the moment. I think it gets a bit better in OP10 with the new Smoker that can banish, but until then I like teching in Gion. I don't really have any other 2ks that I want to play at the moment, so it's really nice. Together with Pudding, it makes the Nami matchup a lot easier, it's winnable. So Pudding, this is a must-have in the deck, I think. If you're playing blue, you should always have at least 1 or 2 Puddings. I think 2 is good for the deck. You're gonna see it if you need it using Dofi, but you don't want to play more, you don't use it that often. You use it in specific matchups like NL, Black Yellow Luffy, Shanks if they get a big hand, Bonnie if they get a big hand, but you don't really use it too often, so you don't want more than 2. But I definitely recommend putting it in the deck. It creates a lot of pressure for the opponent if they know you're playing it. So yeah, definitely has to be in the deck for the threat. 1/0 cost event to unbreak. It's searchable, so I don't want to play more than 1. And then lastly we have Red Rocks and Gravity Blades. These are generic great cards, removal cards. They feel really nice when you use them, but you don't really want to use them early game. You want to play your bodies out first, and then you kind of use it in the later stages of the game when you're at 10 Dawn probably. But yeah, really nice to have them searchable through Trico's Dofi, You can set them up if you need them. And yeah, I wouldn't play more so they don't break your hand. So I wanted to go through this quickly because I'm about to show you guys my matchup chart, like a matchup tier list. We're gonna talk about which matchups are favorable, which are losing. So I wanted to show you guys my deck before I get into talking about it, so there's no like misunderstandings. Also, I'm gonna talk about which cards are good into which matchups. We're gonna go through all the matchups quickly, and yeah, let's get into that. Okay, so for the matchup guide, I made a simple tier list. We have 3 tiers: winning, skill matchup, and losing matchups. And we have important cards for each matchup. Okay, first we are going to talk about the losing matchups. These are hard removal decks. Shanks, Boa, Black in general, but Lucci and Smoker are the most prominent ones at the moment. So, these matchups get easier with OPTCG, but there are still gonna be losing matchups. Nothing is gonna change, I think. Against Shanks, he does play KO removal, so you can use Rosinante to protect your kid or other characters. Sugar is really good into him. If you play it like before they hit 10 down, so whenever they play a big body or rush Shanks, you can rest it, or if they play the 7 cost Newgate, you can rest it. Red Rock is also really good into Shanks. We want to remove 7 cost Newgate on site. It's a really annoying card that's hard to remove for us. We are also removing 10 cost Shanks as well, and other big bodies that they play down. Carrot, this has potential to be good against it. Like, if you can stick it on the board, you can freeze their Rue, Ben Beckman, and whatever, Yasop, yeah? So they have a lot of characters you can freeze, but it usually can't really stick on board because, of course, heavy removal. And sometimes you're gonna be able to use pudding against them to get a lot of value. They sometimes stack up quite a lot of cards in their hand. When it comes to Boa, this is at the moment probably your hardest matchup. There is absolutely nothing you can do, and there is no character that you can keep on board. So it just kind of completely nullifies your leader, your strategy, and everything that you do. Lucci is also just insanely, and Smoker, they're both insanely good against us, but they do play KO removal, so we try to protect our kid with Rosinante. We try to use Gravity Blade, Red Rock to remove their cards. Sugar can't really stick on board. And yeah, you just kind of pray that they brick and that you can, 10 cost feed them into winning the game. Now let's talk about skill matchups. These are really interesting because all of these matchups you kind of really have to play well in order to win, so they feel really good. These are the most fun matchups, I would say. Against Bonnie, we have quite a lot of good cards. We can use Gravity Blade, we can use Pudding if they get a big hand. Sugar is really, really good into them. They can't really remove it more often than not. They're a bit too slow for it. So you can just kind of protect your characters with your leader and kind of make a really good board. Carrot is really good into them. You freeze all their characters early game so they can't like reuse their blockers. They can reuse their Cavendish if you have Carrot on the board. And they have a hard time removing 8 cost Kid, but do try to play down with 2 cost Rosinante because they can play down Shanks to remove it, so be ready for KO removal. Nami is a specific matchup. You have to know how to play against it, and once you do, it's not that hard. I would say Nami and Bonnie are the easiest out of these 6 that we have here. So I do tech in Gion as well as Pudding, but most people won't be playing Gion, and it's not necessary to win this matchup. The strategy that I like to play is don't swing early game, build a big board first. So you want to get to your 8 cost kids, play them on the board, play 10 cost Dofi if you can, and then start swinging once you can swing 11, 11, 11, or something like that. So niche little things that you can do, of course, is search Pudding with 3 cost Dofi. You really, really need to see Pudding in this matchup. Otherwise, you just let them stack up a really big hand because you are not swinging into them. So they are probably gonna have a big hand before you start swinging. So Pudding is really important to play down before you start swinging. So you build a big board, then you use Pudding, you cut their hand in half, and then you just start swinging in level K and 11 Ks, and they have to take it. Another tech that we have in Toonami is Sugar. We can rest Kaya and their blockers, or just, any card that they play down early game. We can rest and swing into them. We want to remove Kaya from the board as soon as possible. That's like part of the game plan. You don't want them to, be able to reuse it multiple times. Also, Red Rock and Gravity Blade, really good to bottom deck Kaya and their blockers. You want to use them as soon as you see them in your hand. Also, yeah, bottom decking against Nami is broken because they're trying to get rid of the cards in their deck. So yeah, those are all the Nami decks, I think. You should have an easier time if you play this way against it. Next up, we have Zoro and Bello Betty. These are both aggro decks with low-cost characters. They are trying to rush you down. You are gonna want to be playing to starve both of them. Um, you are basically stalling the game until you get to 8 cost kit. This is your win condition against them. You use Sugar to rest their units, Keras to freeze them, Red Rock, Gravity Blade to remove them. We also use a lot of small blockers to solve the game out, because it can get pretty scary when they, get their combos off and they start swinging a bunch of 7s into you. You have to slow the game down as much as possible until you play it cost kit. Next up is Blackbeard. This is an interesting matchup. I think that Sugar is the MVP of the matchup. You want to remove their Duck Q off the board so they can't use it to KO. You can also rest their Burgess and Laboons. I'm really bad at pronouncing these Blackbeard names, by the way. But yeah, you can rest a lot of characters with Sugar. You can freeze them with Carrot when she's attacking, even if he stops your own plays effect. You can use Red Rock against Blackbeards and Gravity Blade against all the low cost units. They're both really good into him, so you search for those. Usually they don't stop your own plays until you're at like 5 dawn, so you can use a 3 cost Godofy if possible to, set up a good hand in the future. You're looking for your removal cards and Sugar if possible. Sugar, you also played before they play 10 cost Blackbeard down, so you played before they get to 10 dawn, if possible, and then it rests their, big Blackbeard, and you can swing into it, or you can swing into life if you've already applied a lot of pressure. You can play down 8 cost Kid, but the problem is, if they play Blackbeard after you play Kid, they stop your Kid for the next 2 turns. They completely immobilize it for 2 turns, which really sucks, honestly. Like, if they just nullified it for 1 turn, that would be okay. We would like have a winnable matchup into Blackbeard, but because it is like 2 turns, it kind of makes the matchup a lot harder. So it's a very skill matchup. I do think they have the edge. They are a lot more consistent. They don't need to see. I mean, they're pretty consistent decks, so they will see the cards that they need, and we have a hard time searching for our cards. Dofi, we kind of played similar to Zoro and Belovetti. We want to stall the game out and start them. We have our win condition in 8 cost kid. We really want to play it down, survive until then, and then use everything we can to protect it. Again, Sugar can rest a lot of units, Carrot can freeze them, small blockers can stall the game out. Also, Rosinante is important to protect your kid, because they can play Parfume Femur. What is that card called? I don't know. Perfume Femur, I think. I don't know how to pronounce that, but yeah, if they use Femur, they can just, put all the Dawn on one target and swing into your kid, and you can't block with your leader or with any other blockers. So the only one that saves kid in that moment is to cost Rosinante, so be careful about that. Also, if they are playing a lot of Red Rocks and Gravity Blades, and if they see them, the matchup becomes a lot more difficult. So again, they do have the edge, I think, but it's still a pretty 50-50 matchup, I would say. Again, they are a lot more consistent with their strategy than we are at ours, but if we see the cards that we need, we can easily take the match. And we get to the winning matchups. These are favorite matchups for us. You should be able to take all of these pretty easily. Black Yellow Luffy is a specific deck that you have to play around. We do have Pudding to cut his hand size. We have hard removal like Gravity Blade and Red Rock that helps us. 8 Cascade is a win condition, it's really good. We can play down Carrot and rest their Sabos on play. Also, a lot of Black Yellow Luffys are playing Raigo now, so you would kind of have to protect your kid with it 2-cost Rosinante if possible. But yeah, the game plan is you don't swing into them, you try to build your board first, you get to your 8-cost kid. If possible, you should have like 2 8-cost kids on your board and maybe 1 carrot, and then you can maybe like start pressuring their then you can maybe start pushing for a game. And now is another interesting one. So you can use Red Rock, is really good into them, removing their big bodies. Sugar is really good before they get to 9 Dawn, so you can rest their Yamatos, their NLs, their Katakuris, whatever they play down, you can rest it, swing into it. It's also a goal to starve them. 8 Cascade again is really good. Basically, you build a fortress around Kid, and you build a big board so you can go for game. Again, same as Black Yellow Luffy, you kind of have to have like multiple kids on the board before you start swinging into life. And same as Luffy, he plays Raigo, so you have to have 2-cost Rosinante on the board to protect your kid at all times. Foxy, you play down 8-cost Kid, Carrot really good, Gravity Blade really good, Sugar really good, Small Blockers really good. Purple Luffy, same as Foxy, they play 0 removal, so you can just stall the game out with small blockers, get to 8-cost Kid. Against Luffy, Carrot is insanely good, it gives insane value. Sugar also really good, they have a hard time removing it. I mean, that basically goes for every deck in this list. They have a hard time removing Sugar and 8-cost Kid, so you just play around them. Red Purple Luffy, Sugar, 2-cost Rosinante, and 8-cost Kid all really important for the matchup. You hide behind 8-cost Kid and then you start swinging for life. The new Gum Gum Giant purple event makes the matchup a lot harder than it should be, I think. That card is insanely broken in my opinion, but yeah, this is what makes them insanely tanky, and it's really hard to like swing into them because he kind of like, if he plays like Red Whitebeard and he goes to like 8k or 7k in life, and then also has the Gum Gum Giant, this leader is incredibly tanky with that event, so you have to like stack up your kids and then kind of try to go for game. Tenko Stuff is also really good into that matchup. When it comes to Robin and Yamato, 8-cost Kid is the win condition. You basically just stall the game until you get to 8-cost Kid, and then you win the game from there. They can't attack your leader into life. Okay, so that's it for the matchup guide. I hope you guys found this helpful. My English is not that good, especially when I'm tired, so I'm sorry about that if I didn't make things clear enough. But if you have any further questions or matchup tips you need, let me know down in the comments below. I would love to answer you guys. We can talk about it more. Let me know your opinions on certain matchups, and let me know if you disagree with something or if you agree with something or if this helped you out. I would love to interact with you guys more. So before we end this video, let's talk a bit about the future of the deck. So when it comes to the future of the deck, we are in a great spot. In OP10 we get Tashigi, who is a 2k counter that also protects our cards from removal. It's a really broken card and it's a must in our deck. We get to use it really effectively with 8-cost Kid. We also get Smoker and Cavendish. Cavendish we use to recycle our hand and also draw cards if it sticks on board. And Smoker is just a really good generic card that allows us to banish and creates a lot of pressure, and you are able to play down Smoker on your 6th on turn and then Kid on your 8-cost turn, and then reactivate that on with Smoker and put it onto Kid. So now we are able to play down Kid on our 8th Dawn turn as well, sorry. So we were not able to do that before, but now we can due to smokers. So even if you go second, it's no big deal. In EBO2, we get our first leader-specific support in 2-cost Rosinante. He makes our deck very consistent and gives us some more power in the early game as well. So overall, these two sets make our deck a lot better, stronger, and more consistent. We started appearing in these topping charts. We have 2 first places in EBO2 so far, I think, and people even consider us when they make meta tier lists. So yeah, we got some exciting stuff coming, and I will be testing the new supports here on the channel soon. I think we will be a very solid, competitive rogue deck, so this is the perfect time to start playing Rosinante. I hope this video will serve as a good starting point and also give you a deeper insight into how this leader works and how he can be played. If you want to catch more Rosinante stuff, follow me over on Twitter. I regularly share news about Rosinante and some other rogue decks from Japan. Also, I would love to interact with you all more, so shout me out if you came from YouTube. And yeah, thank you for watching this guide. I hope it was enjoyable, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!